28. That is where the Knicks rank in points allowed per possession after the NBA Cup, according to Cleaning the Glass. 28th, as in the third worst defense in the NBA, ahead of only a Nuggets team that, as we've talked about on this show, is basically gone like its entire starting five for most of that stretch, or at least part of it. And the Jazz, who've just been like the worst defense in the NBA for 3 years running. So that's not the neighborhood you want to be in. Let's sort of let's populate that neighborhood a little bit. Since the Cup final, the Knicks rank 20th or worst in opponent field goal percentage, opponent three-point percentage, opponent free throw attempt rate, opponent turnover rate, opponent points off turnovers per game, opponent fast break points per game, how often you let your opponents shoot at the rim, half-court scoring defense, and points opponents add per possession by attacking in transition. Okay, so that's basically like every way you can be bad at defense. The Knicks have been bad at defense over the last 11 games. And yes, Josh Hart has been out since Christmas with a sprained ankle, and he's a huge part of their team. Landry Shamet, who's been one of their best point of attack defenders off the bench, he's been out since before the NBA Cup, since Thanksgiving. So eventually, you know, the attrition of you're down a couple of rotation guys that are helpful can really damage you. But man, it shouldn't be this bad on defense, should it?
Oh no. And the quotes coming out of New York, I feel like they're hinting at something, that there's some internal locker room discussions that they want to keep internal, which we know that the New York sports media will be will be like vultures on that roadkill. It's like, oh, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Karl-Anthony Towns is saying they have to go back to the drawing board. You wrote a great piece for Yahoo Sports about this. Is just the idea of this Knicks team that is normally billed as like a great defensive team with great wing defense. They've been a disaster defensively since the NBA Cup. And that is Tom Thibodeau's brand of basketball. So if they're not able to play defense at a top 10 rate, people in New York are going to be very upset, you know, that the whole brand of this team was that a lunch pail, grind it out, defend at all costs. And yeah, anything, if we can get great offense, amazing. And Jalen Brunson, if you build a team around Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, of course, you're going to have to balance both offense and defense. And it's not going to be top 5 every night. But this, it's untenable. The Knicks have to be better defensively. And the way that they're talking about this suggests that there is some sort of chemistry issue or something internally in that locker room that they're not all on the same page. Dan, if you could put... if you could keep your third eye open on this, or have some sort of like, what do you think is going on here? Why, Dan, do you think they've been so terrible defensively? Is it one thing, or is it just they're springing leaks everywhere and it's just a matter of getting through this stretch?
I think it's a couple of things. I think first off, the reputation of those Tom Thibodeau Knicks of like their defense first, grinded out lunch pail. It's worth noting that for the last 3 years before this year, the Knicks were better on offense than they were on defense. The last 3 years finished 2nd, 7th, and 5th in offensive efficiency, finished 19th, 10th, and 12th in defensive efficiency. So the offense has led the dance for the Knicks for the last several years. So that's one thing. The other thing is, so much of it starts at the point of attack, right? It's a very basic principle. If you can't keep the ball in front of you, if you can't stall dribble penetration, you got a driver coming into the lane, you're having guys have to suck in off the wings, help early. You're collapsing the coverage, and then there's open opportunities for, spray out passes, kick out, catch and shoot threes, or a guy to catch, beat a closeout, get into the rim or get into the paint, and then take an up close shot. And so the Knicks have been, which is it's the way everybody wants to play, or many teams want to play. Certainly the way that Mike Brown wants to play. The amount of times you hear him say "spray out three," like it's one of his favorite phrases when he talks about basketball. And that was the way that the Knicks were playing. And we talked about it on this show, where like Jalen Brunson's dribbles were down, Jalen Brunson's time of possession was down, all those things. That was like what was really fueling the Knicks' offensive success going through the NBA Cup final. So the thing that I'm wondering about with this is, yes, you're seeing leaks sprung all over the place. I think there's potential solves for that. Like, do you try Deuce McBride in the starting lineup? He's maybe your best point of attack defender. It makes you smaller overall if you're removing somebody else for him. If Josh Hart goes to the bench when he comes back, or if you're going instead of the double big look with Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns, it's Cat at the 5, and then you're moving in Deuce instead of like Mo Diawara or some of the other players that have wound up in that sort of spelling Josh Hart. But another point of attack defender could be useful. And then the plus minus numbers have always been really good when Deuce plays with Jalen Brunson. Part of me, though, wonders if from a chemistry perspective, in this stretch where the defense has been terrible, the offense has also taken a step back. And in that time, Jalen Brunson's usage is up, the dribbles per game are back up, the time of possession is back up, the seconds per touch are back up. And so you have moments like where they get absolutely, their doors absolutely blown off by the Pistons on Monday night. And it looks like Jalen Brunson's the only guy who showed up because he scored 25 points. And meanwhile, Karl Towns makes like one basket, and OG Anunoby, I think, had 6 points or something like that. The question that I have is like, if everybody saw the way it worked, when we were spraying, more egalitarian, spraying the ball out, sharing the wealth, and things were going really well. When we hit adversity, if Jalen Brunson's response to it is, I got to do everything, does that sort of leach out the vibes for everybody else too? And it's all kind of hard to blame Jalen Brunson sometimes if he looks at it and says, I don't know that I can trust Karl Towns to not pick up 3 offensive fouls right now. And do so, or for nobody else to be able to dribble against the kind of ball pressure that a team like the Pistons can throw at you on the perimeter. So, but then the flip side of that is if none of those guys are touching the ball, if none of them are getting shot attempts, Jalen Brunson had 6 turnovers without an assist against the Pistons. If you're not able to generate those things for other people and everything is just Jalen Brunson 40% usage going up against the world, it diminishes the talent around him. So chemistry on the defensive end is one thing. Yes, communication is huge. Do you have the point of attack defenders to be able to stop dribble penetration up top? But also, if you're having bad offensive possessions and then you're having to get back on defense, and especially if one guy's maybe also not getting back on defense and complaining he didn't get a call, and then you're giving up a bucket, then you're taking the ball out and having to go against a set defense again. And these things can be vicious cycles and they can accrue. And so that feels a little bit like where the Knicks are right now. Of course, it's only as good as, it only lasts as long as tomorrow's, opening pitcher, right? You're tomorrow's starting pitcher. That's how far momentum goes. I wonder so all it might take is one great offensive performance against the Clippers to tilt this, but it certainly looks like a team where the offense being stagnant is leaching into the defense and then vice versa. And then before you know it, it's a bad deal and it's everybody's fault.
Yeah. The old cliche in basketball is a cliche because it's true. Oftentimes is that the best offense is man, I butchered that. Great. The best offense is a great defense, right? Because you're anytime you're turning the opposing team over, and anytime you're getting those fast breaks, getting transition opportunities, that is the mother's milk of a great offense. And so I do think that when you're the Knicks and you're always pulling the ball out of the basket, it's going to slow your offense down. And all of those warts about over dribbling and Jalen Brunson just going 1-on-5, all that stuff rises to the surface when you're not able to get stops. When you're getting in transition and Josh Hart is out there and wreaking havoc defensively, it is the straw that stirs the drink.